In the realm of high-powered firearms, the minigun holds a unique and formidable position. Often depicted in movies and video games as the ultimate weapon of destruction, its lethality is frequently dramatized. This video delves into the various aspects that contribute to the minigun's deadly force. From its mechanical workings to its operational logistics, we'll explore what makes this weapon as lethal as it is. Mechanical principles of the minigun. The mechanical principles that underlie the minigun's operation are a marvel of engineering, allowing for a high rate of fire coupled with reliability. Originating from the Gatling gun design, the modern minigun utilizes a rotating barrel assembly, typically consisting of 6 barrels, to achieve its exceptional firing capabilities. As the barrels rotate, they go through a firing cycle that includes loading, firing, and ejecting cartridges. The rotation ensures that each barrel has time to cool down before it is fired again, mitigating the risk of overheating, which is a common issue in other types of automatic weapons. The central rotor of the minigun is driven by an external power source, often an electric motor. This is unlike traditional machine guns, which often rely on recoil or gas operation to cycle the weapon. The advantage of external power is a consistent and extremely high rate of fire, often exceeding 3,000 rounds per minute. However, this comes at the cost of requiring a substantial power source, which can limit the weapon's portability. The firing mechanism in the minigun is usually electronically controlled, triggering the release of rounds in a highly synchronized manner as the barrels rotate. This ensures that the firing pins strike the primer at the exact moment the barrel aligns with the loaded round, resulting in an almost continuous stream of projectiles. Because the barrels are parallel to each other and rotate around a central axis, the dispersion of bullets is relatively tight, improving the weapon's accuracy at short to medium ranges. The ammunition belt feeding the minigun is another crucial aspect of its mechanical design. The belt usually contains disintegrating links that separate as each round is chambered. This is necessary because of the high rate of fire, as any jam or misfeed could lead to catastrophic failure. The feed system often employs mechanisms to assist in the smooth feeding of ammunition, ensuring that the belt moves consistently and rounds are correctly aligned as they enter the firing chamber. The barrels of the minigun are usually made of high-strength alloys to withstand the enormous pressures and heat generated during firing. Even the rifling within the barrels is carefully designed to maximize accuracy and range, taking into account the type of ammunition used. Different minigun models may also feature varying barrel lengths, which can affect both the weapon's accuracy and its muzzle velocity. Longer barrels generally provide greater accuracy and higher muzzle velocity, but they also add weight and length to the weapon, making it less maneuverable. Ammunition types and their effects. The ammunition used in a minigun plays a vital role in determining its lethality, typically chambered for the 7.62 by 51 mm NATO round. The minigun can also be adapted to fire other types of ammunition depending on the model and modifications. Each type of round has distinct characteristics that influence its range, accuracy, and impact. Standard full metal. Jacket, FMJ rounds are often used for training and general-purpose firing. These rounds are designed to offer stable flight and decent penetration, but tend to pass through soft targets without causing as much tissue damage as some specialized rounds. Hollow point rounds, by contrast, are designed to expand upon impact, creating larger wound channels in soft targets. These rounds are less suited for penetrating armor or barriers, but can be devastatingly effective against unarmored targets. Frangible rounds are another option, designed to break apart upon impact to minimize the risk of over-penetration. These are often used in situations where collateral damage must be minimized, such as in urban warfare or close-quarters combat. Armor-piercing rounds are made to penetrate armored vehicles, fortified positions, and personnel wearing body armor. These rounds usually feature a hardened steel or tungsten core and are clad in a softer material like copper or lead. Upon impact, the softer outer material helps the hardened core penetrate the target. The armor-piercing rounds are particularly effective in anti-material roles, but are less efficient at causing damage to soft tissue compared to other types of ammunition. Tracer rounds are often mixed into the ammunition belt to assist gunners in aiming. These rounds contain a pyrotechnic charge that ignites upon firing, leaving a visible trail as the bullet travels toward the target. Tracer rounds can help gunners make real-time adjustments, but can also give away the gunner's position to the enemy. In many configurations, one tracer round is loaded for every 4 or 5 standard rounds, allowing for both effective aiming and concealment. Incendiary rounds are another specialized ammunition type. These rounds contain chemicals that ignite upon impact, causing fires. They are most effective against flammable targets like fuel reserves or ammunition depots, but are less commonly used due to the risk of unintended fires and the ethical considerations associated with their use. The choice of ammunition significantly affects the minigun's operational range. Longer-ranged ammunition types may have boat-tail designs and higher muzzle velocities, extending the effective range of the weapon. However, the minigun's inherent spread and recoil, coupled with the high rate of fire, often make it more suited for short to medium-range engagements. Rate of fire and accuracy. The rate of fire and accuracy are two key aspects that contribute to the minigun's extraordinary lethality, though they often stand in an inverse relationship. When discussing the rate of fire, one of the minigun's most distinguishing features is its ability to unleash a torrent of bullets in a very short span of time. Depending on the specific model and its settings, a minigun can fire anywhere from 2,000 to 6,000 rounds per minute. This incredible rate of fire provides an overwhelming volume of fire in combat situations, making the minigun highly effective for suppressive fire and area denial. The speed at which the minigun discharges ammunition is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it can rapidly neutralize threats and saturate an area with bullets, making it difficult for enemies to advance or return fire. On the other hand, the high rate of fire means that ammunition is consumed extremely quickly, often requiring a large logistical tail to keep the weapon supplied during sustained engagements. Additionally, the rapid firing generates significant heat and recoil, affecting both the weapon's longevity and its accuracy. Accuracy is often compromised at the minigun's higher rates of fire. The rotation of the barrels and the resultant gyroscopic forces can introduce a spread in the bullet trajectory. Although barrel rotation aids in cooling and allows for the high rate of fire, it also means that bullets do not follow an identical path. This is less of an issue at closer ranges, but becomes more pronounced the further the target is. Furthermore, the recoil produced by the rapid firing can slightly shift the weapon's aim, especially if it is not adequately stabilized. This is a consideration whether the minigun is mounted on a vehicle, aircraft, or naval platform, as the recoil can impact the stability and aiming of the entire system. Despite these challenges, various technologies and techniques are employed to enhance the minigun's accuracy. Gyroscopic stabilizers and advanced targeting systems can compensate for some of the inherent inaccuracies. Additionally, experienced gunners often fire the minigun in short bursts, rather than in a continuous stream to manage both ammunition consumption and accuracy. When fired in bursts, the initial rounds serve as a sort of ranging shot, allowing the gunner to adjust aim for subsequent bursts. The type of ammunition also plays a role in the weapon's accuracy. Rounds with higher aerodynamic stability and lower drag coefficients can improve the minigun's effective range and accuracy. Advanced optics and sighting systems can also assist gunners in hitting targets more reliably, especially at longer ranges where bullet drop and wind drift become significant factors.
Jasper, you get it?
I get it. Look at this thing.
The synergistic relationship between the rate of fire and accuracy means that while the minigun may not be a precision weapon, it compensates with overwhelming firepower that can be devastating in a range of tactical scenarios. Energy source and feeding system. The energy source and feeding system are critical components of the minigun that directly contribute to its lethality and operational effectiveness. Unlike many other firearms, which operate using gas or recoil systems, the minigun requires an external power source to drive its rotating barrels. The most commonly used energy source is an electric motor, which is connected to the weapon's central rotor. The motor provides the necessary torque to rotate the barrels at speeds that enable the minigun's exceptional rate of fire. The choice of motor and its power output can vary depending on the specific model of the minigun and its intended deployment, with options ranging from battery packs to generators to vehicle electrical systems. The requirement for an external power source adds complexity to the weapon system as a whole. It necessitates additional components, including cables and power distribution units, and can also place constraints on where the minigun can be effectively deployed. For instance, when mounted on aircraft or vehicles, the minigun often draws power directly from the platform's electrical system. In static defensive positions, it might be powered by a standalone generator. The need for an external power source makes it less portable and agile compared to other types of machine guns, but the trade-off is a rate of fire and volume of fire that are unmatched by almost any other firearm. The minigun's feeding system is another vital aspect that requires careful consideration. Due to the high rate of fire, the weapon needs a reliable and fast-acting feeding mechanism too. Chamber rounds as the barrels rotate. The most commonly used system is a belt feed, often employing disintegrating metal links that hold the ammunition in place and then separate as each round is fed into the firing chamber. This allows for smooth, continuous feeding of ammunition, which is essential for maintaining the minigun's rapid rate of fire. Any failure in the feeding system, such as a jam or misalignment, could result in a catastrophic malfunction given the speeds at which the weapon operates. The logistics of keeping the minigun supplied with ammunition are non-trivial due to its high consumption rate. Ammunition belts for the minigun can be exceptionally long, often containing hundreds or even thousands of rounds to sustain fire for an extended period. These belts are typically stored in large, drum-like containers or boxes that are affixed to the weapon or its mounting platform. The size and weight of these ammunition reserves can be significant, adding to the overall logistical considerations when deploying the weapon. Cooling mechanisms. The cooling mechanisms of the minigun are crucial in sustaining its exceptional rate of fire over extended periods. Overheating is a common issue in machine guns, especially those that discharge rounds as rapidly as the minigun. Left unmanaged, excessive heat can degrade accuracy, increase the risk of jamming, and even damage the weapon's barrel and internal components. The minigun employs several innovative approaches to manage the heat generated during operation, and understanding these cooling mechanisms is vital for anyone seeking to grasp the weapon's full capabilities. One of the primary means by which the minigun mitigates overheating is through its multi-barrel design. Most firearms have a single barrel through which rounds are fired. In contrast, the minigun has multiple barrels, often 6, that rotate as the weapon fires. This rotation allows each barrel to cool down as it moves out of the firing position, sharing the heat generated among multiple barrels. The rapid rotation of the barrels facilitates air cooling, as each barrel is exposed to ambient air for a brief period before returning to the firing position. In addition to air cooling facilitated by barrel rotation, some minigun models feature advanced cooling systems, such as liquid cooling jackets that circulate a coolant around the barrels to absorb excess heat. These systems are more commonly found in heavy-duty versions of the minigun that are designed for prolonged, sustained fire. While effective, liquid cooling systems add to the weight and complexity of the weapon and are generally reserved for specific scenarios where the benefits outweigh the logistical challenges. The material of the barrel also plays a role in heat management. Barrels are usually made from special alloys that have high thermal conductivity, allowing for quicker dissipation of heat. The quality of the barrel material can directly affect the weapon's performance, as barrels that dissipate heat more efficiently can sustain higher rates of fire without overheating. Even the ammunition used can have an impact on the minigun's thermal performance. Some types of ammunition generate more heat than others when fired. Specialized rounds with lower propellant charges can reduce the heat generated per shot, albeit often at the cost of reduced muzzle velocity and range. This is another consideration that must be balanced depending on the tactical requirements of a given situation. Heat shields are another component employed to manage heat. These are often made from materials designed to reflect or disperse heat, and they serve the dual purpose of protecting the operator and sensitive electronic components from the heat generated by the barrels. In vehicle-mounted or aircraft-mounted versions of the minigun, additional ventilation systems may be incorporated to help direct heat away from the weapon and its operators. Operational costs and logistics. The operational costs and logistics surrounding the minigun are significant factors that weigh into its deployment and efficacy on the battlefield. While the weapon's high rate of fire and multi-barrel design offer unparalleled firepower, these advantages come at a cost, both literally and logistically. The financial aspect is considerable. Not only is the minigun itself a high-cost item, but its voracious consumption of ammunition makes it expensive to operate. It's not uncommon for a minigun to go through thousands of rounds in just a minute, and the cost per round, depending on the type of ammunition, can quickly add up to substantial sums. In terms of logistics, the minigun presents a unique set of challenges. Its high rate of fire means that significant quantities of ammunition must be readily available. This necessitates a robust supply chain capable of delivering large quantities of ammunition to wherever the minigun is deployed, be it a forward operating base, a naval vessel, or an aircraft. The ammo is typically belt-fed from large drums or boxes, which themselves are cumbersome and heavy, adding to the logistical complexity. Loading these ammunition containers is a time-consuming process that usually requires specialized equipment or multiple personnel, another factor that contributes to the weapon's overall operational cost. The minigun's requirement for an external power source further complicates logistics. Whether it's batteries, generators, or a vehicle's electrical system, ensuring a reliable power supply is crucial for the weapon's operation. This often means additional gear, cables, and backup systems, all of which require maintenance and add to the overall footprint of deploying a minigun. Maintenance is another cost-intensive aspect of minigun operation. Due to the high mechanical stresses and heat generated during firing, the weapon's internal components suffer from wear and tear and require regular servicing. Barrels may need to be replaced, electric motors might require repairs, and the intricate feeding mechanisms need constant inspection to ensure reliable operation. Highly trained personnel are needed to perform these tasks, adding another layer of expense. The weight of the minigun, along with its ammunition and associated equipment, also has logistical implications. When deployed on ground vehicles or naval vessels, the minigun's weight and bulk can affect the platform's overall mobility and stability. In airborne applications, weight is a critical factor that can limit the amount of additional equipment or fuel that can be carried. Transporting the minigun, whether by air, sea, or land, requires careful planning to accommodate its size and weight, especially when bringing it into remote or difficult-to-access areas. Then there's the human element. Operating a minigun effectively requires specialized training, not just in how to fire the weapon, but also in maintenance, ammunition handling, and power supply management. Historical uses and effectiveness. The historical uses and effectiveness of the minigun provide a compelling narrative of technological evolution meeting battlefield necessity. First developed in the 1960s, the minigun was initially created as a scaled-down version of the larger M61 Vulcan cannon used by the United States military. The minigun made its combat debut during the Vietnam War, mounted on various aircraft to provide close air support for ground troops. The weapon's devastating rate of fire proved highly effective in this role, capable of laying down a dense carpet of bullets that could suppress or eliminate enemy forces with remarkable efficiency. Since Vietnam, the minigun has been deployed in a variety of settings and conflicts. In the late 20th and early 21st centuries, it has been used in military interventions in the Middle East, including the Gulf War, the Iraq War, and the ongoing conflict in Afghanistan. Here again, the minigun's high rate of fire has made it a key asset for close air support missions, as well as for convoy protection and base defense. Special operations units have also employed the minigun in a number of high-risk missions, appreciating its ability to deliver overwhelming firepower in short bursts, a capability that can tip the scales in asymmetric combat scenarios. Beyond its role in air-to-ground combat, the minigun has also found applications in naval warfare. Various navies around the world have mounted miniguns on patrol boats and larger ships as a point defense system against fast-moving surface targets like speedboats, as well as aerial threats like drones. In this maritime context, the minigun's ability to quickly saturate a target area with fire has proven effective in countering threats that traditional naval weapons might struggle to engage. One of the more unconventional deployments of the minigun has been in the realm of anti-piracy operations. Given the fast, evasive tactics often employed by modern pirates, the minigun's high rate of fire and relatively low cost per round compared to missiles or larger naval guns make it a suitable tool for deterring or neutralizing such threats. However, the minigun is not without its limitations and has faced its share of criticisms over the years. Some argue that its high rate of fire is overkill for many combat situations, leading to excessive ammunition expenditure and potential collateral damage. Furthermore, its logistical demands, particularly the need for a reliable electrical power source and a substantial ammunition supply, can limit its effectiveness in extended or remote operations. Comparison with other automatic weapons. The minigun stands in a class of its own when it comes to rate of fire, but understanding its unique position in the landscape of automatic weaponry requires considering how it stacks up against other types of machine guns and automatic rifles. The first point of comparison is, of course, the rate of fire. While a typical machine gun may fire between 600 to 1,000 rounds per minute, the minigun can unleash up to 6,000 rounds per minute, dwarfing other automatic weapons in this regard. This incredible rate of fire gives the minigun a distinct advantage in situations requiring saturation of a target area, suppressive fire, or overwhelming a fortified enemy position. In terms of range and accuracy, the minigun's performance is generally comparable to that of other medium-caliber machine guns. Its multi-barrel design actually aids in accuracy by distributing heat among the barrels, reducing the risk of barrel warping that can impair aim. However, its effective range is somewhat limited by the typical caliber of ammunition it uses, which is often smaller than the rounds fired by larger, more specialized machine guns or sniper rifles. While the minigun excels in delivering an extraordinary volume of fire, this comes at the expense of ammunition consumption. Traditional machine guns are already known for their high rate of ammo usage, but the minigun amplifies this to an entirely different level. The logistical challenges of keeping a minigun supplied with enough ammunition can be a significant drawback, especially in prolonged or isolated engagements. Additionally, the sheer weight of the weapon, along with its ammo and power supply, makes it far less portable than smaller machine guns or automatic rifles. Another notable aspect is versatility. While some machine guns can be adapted for various roles, such as being mounted on a bipod, tripod, or vehicle, the minigun is generally too large and heavy for such flexible deployment without significant preparation. It is most commonly mounted on helicopters, ships, or vehicles rather than being used as a man-portable system. When it comes to operational cost, as discussed earlier, the minigun is on the higher end of the spectrum. Not only is the initial investment for the weapon system substantial, but the cost per round and the maintenance requirements also make it expensive to operate. In contrast, many other automatic weapons like the M2 Browning machine gun or the M249 SAW are cheaper to purchase and maintain even if they can't match the minigun's rate of fire. Safety mechanisms and risks. Safety mechanisms and risks associated with the minigun are critical considerations given its exceptional rate of fire and the sheer volume of ammunition it expels. Let's start with the safety mechanisms. Unlike smaller firearms, which might have manual safety switches, the minigun generally integrates safety features into its firing system to minimize the chance of accidental discharge. This often involves dual action triggers or other fail-safes that require specific, deliberate actions by the operator to fire the weapon. Furthermore, the electrical nature of the minigun means that disconnecting the power source serves as an immediate safety measure, something not possible with gas-operated or recoil-operated automatic weapons. Electrical interlocks can also be integrated to ensure the weapon doesn't fire when certain conditions are unmet, such as when the mounting platform isn't properly secured or when the gun's orientation would pose a risk to friendly forces. Some modern iterations even incorporate electronic firing systems with built-in diagnostics that can alert operators to potential malfunctions or unsafe conditions, such as overheating or barrel obstructions, before they become critical issues. Despite these safety measures, the risks associated with operating a minigun are considerable. The weapon's high rate of fire poses an inherent danger of collateral damage, both to unintended targets and to the environment. A misaimed burst can wreak havoc in a matter of seconds, making proper targeting and identification of friend and foe, IFF, absolutely vital. Likewise, the volume of spent casings and links expelled by the weapon can pose a hazard in confined spaces, or when the minigun is mounted on lighter vehicles, where the debris might interfere with other equipment or personnel. Overheating is another significant concern, despite the minigun's rotating barrel design, which helps to dissipate heat. Extended periods of firing can still cause the barrels to become extremely hot, risking not just barrel wear but also cook-off, a condition where heat buildup causes rounds to fire unintentionally. Advanced cooling systems, including forced air and liquid cooling, can mitigate this risk, but they add to the complexity and maintenance requirements of the weapon system. Then there's the risk posed by the weapon's ammunition feed system. A jam or malfunction can have severe consequences, particularly if it occurs during a critical phase of an operation. Clearing a jam in a minigun can be a complex process, requiring the operator to disengage the weapon's power, manually clear the obstruction, and possibly even disassemble part of the feeding mechanism, all under potentially hazardous conditions.